Welcome to episode number 23 of Julia the Knitter podcast. I am Julia and I am coming to you from my living room here in Queens, New York, where I live with my handsome husband, my two crazy kids, and my wild beast of a dog who is not loving this cold weather that we've been having here in New York. She is currently curled up in her sweater under her blankets over there. Guys, it's been cold. It has been so cold. I think we're finally going to get to above freezing today, but summer's coming, right? Summer's coming. The sun is out for a few extra minutes every day, and I'm telling you, when the sun is still out right now at almost 5:30, it makes me feel better. So how is everybody doing? For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, this is a podcast mainly about knitting, but whatever crafty whatever I happen to be getting into. So sometimes there's sewing, sometimes there's a little bit of crocheting, etc., etc., etc. Today I just have some knitting to show you. And for those of you who are coming back, I am so happy that you're back with us today, and I hope you guys all enjoy what we've got in store. So, the last time we spoke, I was working on my Christmas Eve cast-on socks, and guys, they are finished. I have two socks blocked and ends are woven in, and they are the Twinkling Trees pattern by Danny of the Little Bobbins podcast. And if you could see there, like little Christmas trees going here. The yarn is by Homespun House. It was her Cloak of Invisibility colorway that she put out some time ago. Just picking off a piece of my hair hanging off of it. And my little baubles are this all wool yarn that I had left over for quite some time, and it is by Long Island. I'll be honest, I can never remember what they call themselves now. They had a name change. Long Island Yarn and Fiber, I believe they call themselves. They are a fairly local farm out in Yaphank, New York. They're in New York. They're just quite a bit of a way east from here. They're closer to where I work, but they have really nice yarns, mostly llama and alpaca, some wool. I think this was a wool, but it was leftovers that I had from my Mama Ruffle shawl, which I love. But it's soft and it feels good, and it seemed like the perfect little bauble for my trees. And they were such a pleasure to knit, because once you get past the trees, which were not that difficult. It's just a quick cableless cable. I learned how to cable without a cable needle. Isn't that awesome? A quick little cableless cable. Trees. And then it's just vanilla sock with the kind of heel that I like. A nice slip stitch heel flap. And, you know, a vanilla sock the rest of the way. And I've got two of them. I knit them up on size 1 needles. And they really were just such a pleasure. Sometimes you kind of need something with just enough to keep you occupied and then, you know, mostly brainless. And these were just that. Especially after Christmas. After all the Christmas knitting and all the craziness that is Christmas, yeah, your mind is shot. Especially if you guys are with kids. You know, Christmas is... Oh, by the time you're done with Christmas, you just need a break. And this was a perfect break. So I have been eyeing her patterns for quite some time. And Danny has been releasing for probably about the last year some beautiful sock patterns. And they're all on my to knit list. But this was the first one that I actually knit up. And she is the woman responsible for the Christmas Eve cast-on tradition that has been going around the knitting verse for the last few years. And so I felt it was appropriate that on Christmas Eve, with my Christmas Eve cast-on, to cast on one of her patterns. So there you have it. They are my finished object for this episode. And did I say that the yarn was by Homespun House? I think I did. I can't remember the base. I don't have the tag near me, so I'm not going to go make myself crazy. But I know I had it in the last episode, so you can always look it up. There you have it. I'm not doing the heavy work for you guys today. My two socks. There you go. That's the only finished object I have for you. And I was having a hard time doing something other than knitting monogamously, which doesn't make for great podcasting because, you know, you want to hear about all the things, right? But I do have two things that I'm working on at the moment. And one is, which one do I want to talk about first? Which one is in here? I'll talk about this next. This pattern is feeding into my mindless knitting obsession lately. I'll be honest, I've been kind of stressed. It's been a stressful few weeks here at the Julie the Knitter household for all kinds of reasons. But I am, so the mindless knitting, things that I don't have to think too hard about, have really been holding a special place in my heart. So I cast on the Bennett Sisters shawl by, I believe that's wrong pattern. Lindsey Fowler, who is Lost and Fawned on Instagram, and it's just a triangular shawl. Let's see if that'll focus a little bit. It's got some tassels, and there's garter stitch and stockinette stitch in there, and it's a pretty basic shawl, and it's knit from point to point as opposed from top to bottom or bottom to top. And I am close to the halfway point. I will tell you the name of the yarn that I'm working on. This is Woolberry Fiber Co, which I really enjoy her colorways, in her Berry Merino base, which is 100% superwash merino, and the colorway is Sunset Walks. Now, it's just got this blush pink. Let's see if I hold it up the right way. This way. Sorry. It's this blush pink, which, guys, contrary to popular belief, because I seem to be knitting quite a lot of pink in this podcast, but not this particular episode, but, you know, over the course of this podcast, I noticed I work with pink more often than not. It's this beautiful little plush pink, and it's got speckles of this dark, it's like a plum violet. Maybe you can see it better on the stockinette portion here. It's just got some nice speckles in there. Yeah, that actually shows the color off pretty nicely. Pastels are not a color I often gravitate for because, you know, I'm pretty pale myself, and they tend to wash me out, but I think this color will be okay. So like I said, it's knit from point to point, so you cast on here, and you just increase along the way, and then after you reach a certain point, you start doing stockinette also. So it's garter, 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 and then here, let's see if the line will show. You can kind of see the line here where you're changing from garter to stockinette, and it'll create a triangle almost all the way up. And then once you get to the halfway point, you would start decreasing, so then the rows are going to get shorter. But also I will be holding it together with this merino. Be with me today. I can't. Sorry, I'm shot. I cannot. Mohair. So I'll be holding this color together with Mohair, which is also by Woolberry Fiber. And do I have a name for it? I probably do. I'll see real quick. Berry Mohair, which is a 72% mohair, 58% silk in her antique shop colorway. Oh, in case you didn't know, what I really like about her yarn labels, which I think is awesome, she has, let's see if you can kind of see, wildflower seeds inside the label. So once I'm done with this, I can put the seed paper under soil, keep it moist, and I'm going to have some beautiful flowers. So, springtime. Springtime is coming, and I'm going to have flowers. Yarn flowers. Doesn't that make you happy? It makes me happy. So I'll be holding these two together. And so the color will change slightly. It'll have a little bit of a fuzzy halo. I know everybody is really into this mohair craze right now. I'm not sold on it, but I figured I'd give it a try. I've worked with mohair once before, quite some time ago, using it as a trim on a sweater. And I can't remember if it makes me itchy or not. The sweater wasn't for me. So we'll see. We'll see if I end up keeping the shawl or if I wind up giving it away as a gift, which is always a possibility. But that's that. That is the Bennett Sisters shawl. And, you know, I cannot resist Jane Austen anything. I am a Jane Austen junkie. It can't be helped. Pride and Prejudice. I just love Mr. Darcy. Who doesn't? I actually am currently in the middle of watching, it's an older movie now called Becoming Jane. It's got, what's her name? Anne Hathaway and, oh, what's that guy? The one who plays the young Professor X on the X-Men movies. Scottish guy. James McAvoy. So he plays the male lead in the role and in the movie. And Anne Hathaway plays Jane Austen before she is Jane Austen. And it's pretty cute. I started watching it the other night, but I was so tired, so I went to bed. And I hope to finish it sometime soon. But I love, love, love Jane Austen. It's one of those, I kind of, once a year or every other year, I kind of get like a craving for Jane Austen. So I will go and read some Jane Austen. Is anybody else a big fan? I do love Pride and Prejudice. Sense and Sensibility is always a good one. Persuasion warms my heart. Emma is not my favorite. It's cute. I don't know. I don't love the heroine. What's the one with Fanny? That's not one of my favorites either. I just, Pride and Prejudice, I would have to say, is my absolute favorite. So I usually stick with Pride and Prejudice. But anyway, so the Bennett Sisters shawl, how could I resist? So it just makes me happy that it's Pride and Prejudice related. And Pride and Prejudice Day was actually earlier this week. And so, you know, it felt appropriate to be working on this during Pride and Prejudice Day. So that is my project that I'm working on. And it's nice because, like I said, it kind of feeds into the mindless knitting that I've been craving lately. It's not too complicated. It's pretty basic. It's just mostly garter, a little bit of stockinette. And you increase here. It's pretty easy, it increases. And I'm almost to the halfway point, and the rows are going to get smaller. And I'm kind of excited about the tassels on the end. So that's that project. My second project, this is going to be like a Lost and Found episode, because I'm actually currently working on a test knit for Lindsey. And this is her Coast Range socks. It is, as I mentioned, a test knit, so the pattern is not out yet. But, guys, now I know I've been talking about how much I love mindless knitting at the moment, but this is the epitome of not mindless knitting. But it's got this gorgeous front, which you kind of do with like increases or not decreases, knit togethers, and SSKs and yarn overs, and it's great. And the back of the leg has got this like slip stitch ribbing going on, and I am loving it. It is a great pattern so far. I've got a few repeats done, maybe about 7 repeats. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm on the 7th repeat of the pattern on the leg. I might do 1 or 2 more before I start the heel. And then it's a heel flap, if I recall correctly. I didn't look at the heel in a while, so I don't know. And then the foot. So this is the first sock. I didn't do the second one yet. And this yarn, guys, it is by Dyed in the Wool, and it is a yak base, which I have never worked with yak before. And this is a yes. Dyed in the Wool is the dyer, and this is her Yakety Yak sock base, which is 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, and 10% nylon in her Icefield colorway. And I like that her label's independently dyed by a woman strong small business. Nice, huh? So this is her yarn label. Not focusing, okay. Well, you get the idea. Dyed in the wool. But anyway, so it's got some yak in it. So I'm curious to see how that wears. It's really soft, but it feels durable. And I'm curious as to how the color is, because I like this color blue. It's a good blue. I have found though, because since I tend to be drawn to blues, I find that blue tends to bleed a lot. And I know I have one pair of socks that has heels and toes in a dark blue similar to this, and my toes are blue every time I wear them. And I've been wearing them for quite some time, so it's not like they're a new pair of socks. I probably knit those socks a year or two ago, and they're still bleeding blue. So I'm curious to see whether this bleeds. I haven't noticed any dye transfer onto my hands while I'm working with it. It smells good. It feels good. I'm really excited for these socks. I really have been enjoying working on this test knit. I would totally keep your eyes out for this pattern once it is released. And there's going to be, oh, I forgot, there's also a little cable detail here between the slip stitch leg and the awesome front. There is, I believe it's going to be a 2-pattern collection. So there's the Coast Range socks, and there's another pair, the name escapes me, I don't have it in front of me at the moment, and they are similar. I think one doesn't have the cable, the back might be different, but I think they both have a similar, this pattern I think might be shared between them. But anyway, knit up on size 1 needles. And guys, whew, keep your eye out, because this is such a pleasure to knit. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on. It's kind of a quick episode, unfortunately. I'm trying to think if we've got anything fun going on around here since we last spoke. I think it's been about 2 weeks, a little bit more since I recorded. Did we go upstate since then? I think we went upstate, visited my parents for a little while. Then my brother and his husband were there, and it was good to hang out with them. And I don't know, work's just been crazy, and this weather has just been depressing the heck out of me, because I run in the morning usually before I go to work. So I'm usually out there in the dark at 5 a.m. running around. And because, in all honesty, it's the only time I can get a run. It has been way too cold. When I wake up and the actual temperature is 0 degrees, I'm not going out running. So it's just been fiercely cold, and the weather's just not been great, and I have not run, and it's making me crazy. And it's just been, I feel like, so much going on around here. So that's it. So that's what I'm working on. I hope to hear what everybody else is working on, and I hope you are all staying very warm wherever you are. I know this polar vortex, or whatever they're calling it, has been circulating the entire country. So stay warm. Warm weather's coming, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.